Today's recipe calls for an orange. I'm going to show you how to make a simple cranberry orange cookie. Even though it's easy, it's really flavorful and it's insanely soft. Perfect for the holiday season. So with that said, let's get started. The first thing we need to do is preheat the oven box. Set the temp to 425 Fahrenheit or 218 Celsius. Grab a small holding device. To that we'll add a packed 3/4 cup or 165 grams of dark brown sugar. Following the cavity creator, add all the zest from one large orange to the bowl. Zest the orange ball over the bowl of sugar. The reason for this is because while you zest the citrus fruit, it shoots off a ton of little natural sugar crystals with a small amount of orange fragrance/juices. We want to collect all those little tasty bits. Also keep in mind when zesting, you want to avoid getting any of the white part of the fruit. It's known as the pith and it's bitter in taste, so you definitely don't want any of that business. Whatever zester/grater you use to do this task, ensure you knock off anything that may be stuck to your tool. Especially with a microplane, you'll want to run your fingy down the backside to get all the goods. Now that we've peeled the thin raincoat off the orange, we need to lightly whisk/beat the orange zest and sugar together. Doing this will help extract more of the natural oils/juices the zest holds, giving us more flavor. This occurs because of the coarse sugar grains will agitate the zest to pull out those goods. Do this for 2 to 3 minutes or until things become really fragrant and smell. Following that, we can start making the cookie dough. Grab a KitchenAid mixer with a paddle attachment, or you can also use a hand mixer for this. Toss 8 tablespoons or 113 grams of room temperature weather unsalted butter into the bowl. Mix the butter for a few minutes to break things up. Doing this will help the ingredients incorporate much easier together. After the butter has been slapped around a bit, scrape the sides and bottom of the bowl clean. Following that, add the bowl of sugar/zest to the butter. Cream the two goods together for around 5 minutes or until the butter becomes pale in color and is light and fluffy in texture. You'll achieve this on medium to medium-high speed. Throughout this process, give the bowl a good scrape down, hitting the sides and bottom well. Ensure you scrape the bottom of the bowl on the stand mixer. Things are notorious for getting stuck in this area and not being mixed in. After the scrape down, crank the machine back up and continue to cream things together until you hit the time or the look we're shooting for. In the end, it should look something like this. Before we add the next set of ingredients, prep the bowl by scraping it once again. The next thing we'll add is one large room temperature egg. It's best practice to crack it into a separate holding container. This way, if we accidentally add any shell, we can easily fish it out. To the egg, we'll add in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Add the vanilla flavored egg to the bowl. Mix everything together until the egg has incorporated well with the butter-sugar mixture. This should take maybe 1 to 2 minutes. After the wet ingredients have been taken care of, we can now move on to the dry ones. Grab a medium-sized bowl and a fine mesh strainer. We'll add in 1½ cups or 180 grams of all-purpose flour into the strainer. After that, add in 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. To really spice things up, add 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger powder. Sift all the dryness together to make a big dusty mess. Push through any large clumps that are left behind. Grab your broken whisk and lightly whisk your face off to bring it all into one. Add 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt to the bowl. Give that a whisk into the flour mixture as well. Bring the stand mixer back into the camera frame. Add in about half of the dry goods into the bowl of wet goods. Mix everything together on a low speed just until things are incorporated into one. After that, which I'm sure you guessed already, give the bowl another scrape down before we add the last half in. While the mixer is running on low speed, add the last portion of dry ingredients in. You may notice the machine is starting to have a hard time mixing things. Just simply turn the speed up to a medium-high or up to a speed that seems less strenuous on the machine. The same goes for a hand mixer as well. Mix all the ingredients together until well combined. Once you cannot see any more flour, then that means it's been mixed enough. We do not want to overmix our cookie dough. Doing so will activate the gluten, which in turn will give us tough, dense, dry cookies that are sweet tasting hockey pucks. We want something that's light and soft. After you've achieved the proper amount of forcing things to be one, we need to add the other main ingredient, which is 2 cups or 228 grams of dried cranberries. Give that a quick mix in with the robot machine. Should take about a minute or until things have been well distributed through the cookie dough. I find it's best to fold the cranberries in following the initial mix-up. Using a rubber spat makes the task much easier. When folding things in, ensure you scrape the bottom and sides really well. We want to do our best to ensure that each cookie will have some crayons in it. Fold things together until your little heart is content with the look of your cookie dough. Once you're happy with it, we can start baking, which means we can start eating. Before that happens, give your machine a quick once-over to wipe it clean. Take care of your tools/investment. Grab a half tray, line it with some parchment paper, or use a silicone baking mat. Let's get to portioning the dough. I went with this big of a scoop, roughly a tablespoon in size. After you fill the scoop, scrape off the excess dough by running the scoop across the top edge of the bowl. We should end up with a flat bottom with a rounded top of dough. A pro tip, test bake a single cookie at first. Doing this will help you decide if you need to adjust things like baking time, the temperature, size of the cookie, things of that nature. I'm glad I did the test bake because I forgot a crucial step. After you scoop the dough, roll it in your mitts to make a little ball of sweetness. Toss it on the lined tray. The important step I forgot was you need to flatten the cookie out into a little cookie puck. It should be roughly flattened to about a ½ inch thickness. You can use your hands for this or use a cup that has a flat bottom. I found it easier to do it by hand because the dough sticks to the cup. To prevent them from sticking, you can roll each dough ball in some sparkling sugar. We need to flatten them for a couple reasons. The dough is stiffer than other cookie doughs, so they won't spread like you're used to. We used a small amount of leavening agent in the dough, so we won't achieve a good spread. Also, baking at such a high temp will bake the dough quickly, which means the cookies will not be in the oven for very long, preventing them from achieving the cookie spread. I'm not a pro baker, so there may be other good reasons why. That's enough food science for one day. If you don't have a scoop, you can also weigh each dough ball. I made mine into 1 ounce or 28 grams worth of deliciousness. You can make them into larger portions. Just keep in mind you'll have to adjust the bake time. Leave a little space between each dough ball. We don't want to end up with a huge unit of a single cookie. Once the tray is lined out, grab that thing and toss it into the preheated oven. Place the half sheet on the middle rack for the best results. Set a timer to bake these sweet treats for 5 to 6 minutes or until the edges start to turn a golden brown color. Times may vary depending on how hot your little oven runs. When the buzzer rings, pull those things out of the heat. Allow the cookies to rest and finish completely setting up on the tray. They will carry over cook a little on the hot pan, which is fine. We'll still end up with a soft cookie. We'll let them hang out for at least 5 minutes. If you try to move them too soon, they will end up breaking on you, and you'll end up being sad with a mess. After 5 minutes is up, transfer them over to a cooling rack. Repeat the same steps until all the dough has been baked off. You can use some powdered sugar and the juice from the Naki orange to make a glaze for the top if you want. If doing so, ensure your cookies are completely cooled off or you'll end up with another mess. Make these cookies to hand out as a gift or make them for that Christmas cookie bake-off. Or if you put the work in, just keep them for yourself. It's okay not to share sometimes. Whatever you decide to do, just enjoy.
Alright, now that our cookies are done, let's give them the old taste roux. So looking at them, they came out pretty dang good looking in my humble opinion. Of course, I might be biased because I made them, so of course they're gonna look good. But any Hoosiers, we got a good amount of color on the outsides and on the bottom to give us that sweet, sweet golden brown color. The center of them looks like it's gonna be super soft as well, with the edges having a little bit of crunch factor to them, which will be nice. Then you can see a ton of cranberries in there. And then if you close your bad eye and squint with your good eye, you can see some pop of color from our orange zest. Overall, they just look like they're gonna be really tasty, so let's give them a shot. They broke really easy because they're gonna be soft. And then you can see some cranberry in there. Looks really good, so yeah. These cookies came out banging. This is like one of the best food combinations that exist. The first thing that hits your palate is that distinct cranberry flavor, and it also brings some tartness as well to really brighten up the cookies and add that pop of freshness and bring some acid to the table is our orange zest, and it pairs so well with our cranberries. That's why it's a good combination. And then we get a ton of flavor from our vanilla extract, which also plays well with the orange. And they're slightly sweet but not overly sweet. It's just the perfect balance to really overtake the tartness from our cranberries and that acid from our orange zest. And then we get a ton of flavor from that caramelization that we got on the bottom and the edges of our cookie to bring a ton of goodness. Texture wise, the edges are slightly crunchy, but the center is super soft, so you get the best of both worlds. And the cranberries also bring a little texture to the table, which I don't know how to explain, so you're just gonna have to make them yourselves. These cookies are really simple to put together and would make for a great crowd pleaser at any holiday party. And you can pretty much add whatever you want to them, maybe add some walnuts or add a ton of cinnamon, which would also pair really well with the rest of the ingredients. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Thanks for watching. And I burned the roof of my mouth last night on some bacon wrapped pickles my brother made. He didn't tell me that there was a toothpick in them and that they were really hot because they just came out of the smoker. He actually did tell me, but I was trying to be the tough guy because little brother syndrome or whatever. And yeah, it hurts now. So I'm gonna go eat some ice cubes and maybe cry about it some more. So we'll see you on the next one. That brings a ton, I tell you, a ton. He goes on and on and on about nothing. Your ingredients, stupid fridge, son of a. Super flavorful to that would do. I'm gonna go eat some ice cubes and cry about it and drop the camera or the cap. So see ya.